together. Radio 91 where it's always better. Where it's always better. Yo, सुबह का सूरज या शाम का रंग, we bring you joy हर जुबान का धन. Community की बात हम हैं आपके साथ, let's spread the love. चलो मिल के साथ tune in, turn up, दिल से बात करो. Radio Manu 92 FM के साथ चलो. Every voice counts, हर लम्हा यहाँ. चलो बात करके देखते हैं, let's all shine on. Yo, let's all go. सेहत की बात or dreams to share. Radio Manu 92 FM, we're always there. From unity to joy, we bring the light. Every word, every tune makes everything right. Listen up, it's time to unite. Radio Manu 92 FM, shining bright. Dill se suno, we love and care. Chalo baat karke dekhte hain, let's take it there. So come along for the ride. Radio Manu 92 FM, we're by your side. चलो बात करके देखते हैं. Your voice, your guide.
आप सुन रहे हैं रेडियो मानो 90.0 FM. चलो बात करके देखते हैं.
ये है रेडियो मानू 90.0 FM. पेश है अदबनामा.
Hi, this is Radio Manu 90.0 FM. I am your host and RJ Himanjali, and I welcome all of you to today's session of Adabnama, our literary and cultural show, where the topic of discussion for today is cultural studies, and we have with us our guest in our studio, Dr. Munir. So we welcome you to our studio.
Thank you.
Before I move further with our discussion, I would like to introduce our guest for today. Dr. Munir is an assistant professor of English at Aligarh Muslim University. He is primarily interested in comparative literary and cultural studies. He has numerous publications to his credits and has authored books as well. Once again, we welcome you, sir. So, shall we begin with the discussion?
Sure.
So the first question, what drew you to cultural studies as an academic field within English literature?
Yeah, so as students of language and literature, we deal with words of various kinds, particularly in their aesthetic, sense. So when we think about literature, it's also important to know who produces literature,
Right.
where literature is produced, and what people are doing with it, So it has always fascinated me, the question of like what people are doing with it, So in trying to understand what literature is, it seems to me that it's also important to understand what people do with it. And it is that question, like, people's ways of, or our ways of doing with literature, to understand that, I thought we will have to take the word culture, seriously, so
Yes.
that we can think about literature in a rather, more capacious, expansive sense of the word, and to understand its actual life, how it actually comes to life. Also, even in an ordinary sense of the word, right?
So, sir, to a layman, like I don't know much about cultural studies. So how would you explain the subject to, a complete newcomer? How would you explain cultural studies?
Yeah, cultural studies is an attempt to look at various dimensions of, what actually people do at the level of ideas. When we talk about what people do, we do a lot of things. We think. So that's also something that we do, right? We create things, we are creative, and we make things. That's also part of culture, right? And these things that we make, or we think about, these are also recorded somewhere. So recordings are also part of culture. So one can think about culture. I mean, if we follow what the famous, scholar of English and both cultural studies, Raymond Williams. You can think about culture probably at 3 levels, and all these levels are equally, each of these levels are equally important. So one at the level of ideas, like an ideal sort of what people think, how they imagine, right? And those thoughts, the impressions, feelings, moods, attitudes, interpretations, everything.
Ideologies are also
exactly. All the framework within which we think and so on. So at the idea of at the level of ideas, it is very important. And it is in this sense that, all of us are familiar with Matthew Arnold's famous definition of culture as the best that has been thought and said in the world. It's also something very ideal in the sense that, the best of what people have thought and, said and
Yes.
And then we can also think about it at the level of, the products of this thinking or this imagination, right? Which are material, which are something that people have made or created, right? And where these assumptions or values, interpretations are recorded, can be found. So at a documentary level, right? Like culture as documented in various, institution, various products, various artifacts, and so on, including literature, poetry, and so on.
Yes.
And then also culture at a social level, right? Where we can think about everything that people characteristically do, as part of culture, right? Like culture as a way of life, which includes everything that people do. There is nothing that such a definition of culture escapes, right? So, and that's far more expansive, of all these other definitions of culture that we have just talked about. So understand what people do at various levels, in a way that includes all the typical characteristics, activities that that make and enhance and enrich our life.
So you're telling me that today's youth culture, memes,
Yeah.
social media trends,
Yeah.
Digital storytelling. So I should consider all this a part of literature as well?
Yeah, and that's a very interesting question. Like, when because of the influence of cultural studies as a project, to look at what people think, do, and practice, and so on, right? Or how they live.
Right.
Like a general framework for thinking about what people do, how they think, how they live their life, and so on. So as part of this, the literature has also undergone, our understanding of what literature is, like what is a text, it has also undergone transformations, mutations, and so on. So there is a sense in which the category of literature, which we narrowly understand something to be something which is imaginative, creative writing, in the form of poetry, fiction, and drama, and so on and so forth. Now, you see, under the influence of this, what is often called the cultural turn, right? There is this sort of a dissolution of the category of literature into culture, such that now even for students of literature, right, various aspects of culture also become some form of text which they can study, right? So there is this culturalization of sort of text.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the solution of literature into culture, such that literature now can be thought of, as something in the form of like, any cultural artifact.
Yes.
Yeah, not necessarily a poem or a short story or a play and so on. Right. And similar, and at the same time, you also have to think about the influence of literature on cultural studies as well, right?
Yes.
So there's a complementarity, the complementarity of both these the
you're
discourses.
saying there's a relationship between literature and culture.
Exactly, and that too in a very complementary sense, right? One completes or complements the other, because in cultural studies we tend to look at. I mean, there is a tradition or a very vibrant, active stream or strand within cultural studies. You call it cultural hermeneutics or, interpretive theory of culture, a kind of methodologies expounded by people like Clifford Geertz, or even Roland Barthes, the literary critic, and so on, where they encourage us to look at various things that people do, various activities that people perform as texts.
Right.
So you see here, for example, how to look at a photograph as a text, right? How to look at even wrestling as a text, right? And how to look at rituals, various kinds of things that people do, festivals, and so on and so forth. So what is happening here is that we can clearly see how things that are not, like written text and so on, something inscribed, which we narrowly take text to be, like something that is written, poem, or now festivals or rituals, right? Games, play, like you mentioned several examples, right? For a football tournament, or this ritual of cockfighting, like so many anthropologists have studied such things, right? So all these things are now read, like texts.
True.
So you see, on the one hand, we have sort of a dissolution of literature into culture, like everything becomes sort of literature, and you can study it. Anything that is cultural, quote unquote, can now become part of literary studies.
Yes.
So you study not just poetry or fiction or drama, but also what people do otherwise. And you can look at popular culture, you can look at festivals, you can look at, so many things that characteristically, typically people do. And at the same time, literature has also very, in pronounced ways, influenced the study of culture, so that we now take everything to be text.
Yes.
Right? I mean, there are limitations, to such an imagination or framework, but that's something that has been quite, I think I would say rampant within the field of cultural studies as well. Right. Yeah.
That's wonderful, sir. I hope our listeners are enjoying our discussion on cultural studies. I am your host and RJ Himanjali, and we'll be continuing after a short break.
You are listening to Adabnama, Radio Manu 90.0 FM's Literature and Culture Show.
You're listening to Radio Manu 90.0 FM, a community radio station.
So join the wave, come along for the ride. Radio Manu 90.0 FM, we're by your side. Chalo baat karke dekhte hain.
Your voice, your guide.
This audio has been generated through AI.
Let's listen to अर्ज किया है।
आदाब दोस्तों, आप सुन रहे हैं अर्ज किया है रेडियो मानू 90.0 FM पर। आइए आज मुलाकात करते हैं उर्दू अदब के बाबाक, मुनफरिद और फिक्र अफरूज शायर यगाना चंगीजी से। यगाना चंगीजी का असल नाम मिर्जा वाजिद हुसैन यगाना चंगीजी था। उनका जन्म 1884 में पटना में हुआ। वो उर्दू शायरी के उन चंद शुआरा में शुमार किए जाते हैं जिन्होंने रिवायती सोच से हटकर अपनी एक अलग पहचान बनाई। यगाना साहब अपनी खुदागाही, इनफिरादियत और बेबाक लहजे के लिए मशहूर थे। उन्होंने अपनी शायरी में अंधी तकलीद के बजाय आज़ाद फिक्री और शख्सियाती तजुर्बे को अहमियत दी। यगाना चंगीजी की गज़लों में खुदी, इंसानी वफादारी, जिंदगी के तजुर्बात और फिक्री आज़ादी का गहरा रंग मिलता है। उनका अंदाज़ी बयान सादा लेकिन निहायत पुरअसर था। उनके कलाम में एक ऐसी सच्चाई और जुर्रत नजर आती है जो सामईन को सोचने पर मजबूर कर देती है। आइए उनके चंद मशहूर अशार सुनते हैं। आ रही है ये सदा कान में वीरानों से, कल की है बात कि आबाद थी दीवानों से। और एक और दिलनशीन शेर मुलाहिजा हो, मुझे दिल की खता पर यास शर्माना नहीं आता, पराया जुर्म अपनी नाम लिखवाना नहीं आता। यगाना चंगीजी ने उर्दू शायरी को एक नया फिक्री ज़ौक़ दिया। उनका कलाम रिवायत से गुफ्तगू करता है मगर अपनी राह खुद तलाश करता है। इसी वजह से उन्हें उर्दू अदब का एक मुनफरिद और यादगार शायर माना जाता है। उर्दू अदब की तारीख में यगाना चंगेज़ी का नाम आज़ाद फिक्र, खुददारी और बेबाक इजहार की अलामत के तौर पर हमेशा याद रखा जाएगा। इसी के साथ दीजिए इजाजत, फिर मुलाकात होगी एक और अजीम अदबी शख्सियत के साथ। आप सुन रही थी अर्ज किया है सिर्फ रेडियो मानू 90.0 FM पर। खुदा हाफिज।
आप सुन रहे थे अर्ज किया है। For sales, marketing and brand promotions, write to us on Radio Manu at manu.edu.in.
So join the wave, come along for the ride. Radio Manu 90.0 FM, we're by your side. चलो बात करके देखते हैं.
Your voice, your guide.
You are listening to Adabnama, Radio Manu 90.0 FM's literature and culture show.
Hi and welcome back to Radio Manu 90.0 FM. You're listening to our show Adabnama, where we are discussing cultural studies with Dr. Munir. So the next question for you, can you tell us if there are any books that have really influenced you into choosing this field, in your career? I mean, any books or authors or anything that you can tell our listeners?
Yeah. For example, the works of Raymond Williams, like Culture and Society, has actually helped us to understand the capaciousness of the category of culture, and also, the sort of democratic, more inclusive sense of culture, by sort of unsettling or dismantling this dichotomy between high culture, low culture. So his famous statement, as to culture is ordinary.
Yes.
And therefore we think about all forms of life, everything that people do in an ordinary sense.
Yes.
And so on.
Yes.
So that actually is very, very reassuring. You can you can take into account various aspects, various dimensions,
Right.
into and you can bring them into to bear upon our analysis and so on. So that's been a formative text, for cultural studies students, and also the work of Stuart Hall. His work on representation has helped us to understand how meaning is actually, how we make sense of things around us, through representation, and how representation is so central to what we take culture to be, and so on. And then I'm also quite intrigued by the work of several anthropologists, like Talal Asad, the cultural anthropologist, and also Sabah Mahmood, right, and Charles Hershkind,
Yes.
right, whose work also help us understand, how the kind of relationship between religion, culture, and so on, and also how is it that not just at the level of thinking but also at the level of practice, right? So how to think about, as a student of literature, I was more interested in knowing, like, what are the best ways or more productive ways out there with which we can think about literature itself, like not at the level of ideas but also at the level of practice, like what people do. Okay, the kind of work. I mean, usually we ask this question, like, what is literature, right? I think it's also important to ask another question, which is equally, suggestive. That is, what does literature do, right? And how do you answer that question? I mean, these are
Yes.
they're mutually,
Yes.
not their exclusive category, but they are mutually constitutive, right? Our understanding of what literature is actually enriched or enhanced by our understanding of what literature does. Okay, so for that, I thought the work of several cultural anthropologists, would come in useful, and in the work of Professor Talal Asad, Professor Sabah Mahmood, and for example, Asad's works on religion, and the secular and so on. Anthropology of secularism, or the secular, he calls it the secular, right? Secularism as a sensibility, what the kinds of dispositions that people develop, the kinds of attitudes that we develop towards things around us, not just a political principle, but also a kind of way of life, or a form of life, if you will, right? And similarly, religion and so on, and how these different discourses, different modes of being also are, in conversation with each other and so on. So these also helped, although this is anthropology, these kinds of discussions also help us to understand what we are also concerned with. For example,
Right.
literary text, right? Especially not at the level of ideas, but
Yes.
at the level of life, at the level of
Absolutely.
what people
Absolutely.
actually end up doing.
So basically, cultural studies, it often talks about power, gender, class, race.
Yeah.
So, which of these themes do you feel, today's literature and media, will it connect strongly with?
Yeah. So there is a famous cultural studies scholar from the US, Lawrence Grossberg, and he has put forth this phrase, conjunctural, analysis, as like, what does cultural studies do? So he would say it does conjunctural. It's interested in doing conjunctural analysis, conjuncture, right? Which is a term that his own teacher, Stuart Hall, had used, and he sort of developed into an interpretive, an analytic, a framework for thinking about culture. So there, a conjuncture is always, a combination of things. There are so many things, not just one variable. There are so many variables which constitute or which define or which qualify any particular situation. Whatever you want to study, no situation exists, or no text exists in has a single variable to it, right? And therefore, in order to capture the complexity, the over-determination, he uses this word of over-determination of a particular situation, like, a cultural, when we do cultural analysis, it is important to take into account how these various factors which constitute a particular situation. You can call them various variables. You talk about gender, race, ethnicity, religion, ability, disability, and lots of other, religion, faith, caste, class. So all these are variables. All these are different, forms of maybe difference. Yeah. And they intersect with each other in a particular situation. And therefore, cultural studies has to take into account this conjunction, or this conjunction, this particular combination of various factors characterizing or, informing, defining a particular situation, so that one can gain insight into the complexity, the nuanced, aspects or dimensions of that particular situation under analysis. So, and therefore, all these questions, depending on the project that you work on, are important.
Yes.
Right? You may want to privilege, or if not privilege, focus on certain variables, but then you see underneath them, you will also find other variables, and therefore one has to actually do what Lawrence Grossberg calls a conjunctural analysis. It's like sort of a highfalutin word, but I think it makes sense in the context of cultural studies, right?
Yes.
Especially to capture complexities and the nuances of a situation.
Right.
Like for example, if we were to take the corona, sort of the epidemic, we cannot simply analyze it from a medical point of view. It's not just a medical problem, right?
Yes.
It has various socio-economic, cultural, dimensions, and one has to actually do it from a conjunctural point of view, where a combination of things, or factors and variables have to be taken into account. So I think that's a useful way of formulating, although it sounds a bit, it's jargon, and therefore it might sound a bit off-putting, but that word juncture and conjuncture, right? Not conjecture, which is like guess but
it's a different word.
Yeah. Right.
We will be continuing our discussions on cultural studies, but only after this short break. I'm your host and RJ Himanjali, and I'll meet you after a short break.
आप सुन रहे हैं अदबनामा, रेडियो मानू 90.0 FM का लिटरेचर एंड कल्चर शो।
आप सुन रहे हैं रेडियो मानू 90.0 FM, एक कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन।
So join the wave, come along for the ride. Radio Manu 90.0 FM, we're by your side. चलो बात करके देखते हैं.
Your voice, your guide.
This audio has been generated through AI.
Let's listen to History's Mysteries.
आदाब दोस्तों, आप सुन रहे हैं रेडियो मानू 90.0 FM। आइए आज हिस्ट्रीज मिस्ट्रीज में जानेंगे हिस्ट्री ऑफ इरिगेशन, एक ऐसा निज़ाम जिसने बंजर ज़मीन को ज़रखेज़ बनाया और इंसानी तहजीब को तरक्की की राह दिखाई। सोचिए, एक किसान आसमान की तरफ देख रहा है। उसकी सारी उम्मीदें सिर्फ बरसात पर टिकी हुई हैं। अगर बारिश हो गई तो फसल होगी, और अगर बारिश ना हुई तो मेहनत भी चली जाएगी और अनाज भी। इसी परेशानी ने इंसान को एक नया रास्ता दिखाया, इरिगेशन यानी सिंचाई का निज़ाम। दोस्तों, इरिगेशन का मतलब है नदियों, झीलों, कुओं या दूसरे जरिए से पानी को खेतों तक पहुंचाना, ताकि फसलों को सिर्फ बारिश पर निर्भर ना रहना पड़े। आज दुनिया की ज्यादातर खेती इसी निज़ाम की बदौलत मुमकिन है। लेकिन सवाल ये है कि सिंचाई का निज़ाम सबसे पहले कब शुरू हुआ? आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट्स के मुताबिक इरिगेशन की शुरुआत लगभग 6000 BCE में मेसोपोटामिया यानी आज के इराक के इलाके में हुई। वहां टिग्रिस और यूफ्रेटिस नदियों का पानी कैनाल्स यानी नहरों के जरिए खेतों तक पहुंचाया जाता था। इस निज़ाम ने बंजर जमीन को जरखेज बना दिया और पहली बड़ी सभ्यताओं की बुनियाद मजबूत की। इसके बाद प्राचीन मिस्र यानी एंशिएंट इजिप्ट ने नाइल रिवर के सालाना सैलाब का बेहतरीन इस्तेमाल किया। इजिप्शियंस ने बांध और कैनाल्स बनाकर पानी को संभाला और साल भर खेती करना मुमकिन बना दिया। अगर भारत की बात करें तो यहाँ भी इरिगेशन का इतिहास बहुत पुराना है। इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन यानी हड़प्पा और मोहनजोदड़ो में लगभग 2600 BCE के दौरान पानी की बेहतरीन प्लानिंग देखने को मिलती है। यहाँ कुओं, रिजर्वॉयर्स और ड्रेनेज सिस्टम्स के साथ साथ खेती के लिए पानी का मुनज़्ज़म इंतजाम भी मौजूद था। बाद में मौर्य और चोला हुक्मरानों ने तालाबों, नहरों और बांधों की तामीर को फरोग दिया। खास तौर पर तमिलनाडु का कल्लनाई डैम, जिसे ग्रैंड एनिकट भी कहा जाता है, लगभग 2nd सेंचुरी CE में राजा करिकाला चोला ने बनवाया था। ये दुनिया के सबसे पुराने और आज भी इस्तेमाल होने वाले इरिगेशन डैम्स में शुमार होता है। आज इरिगेशन टेक्नोलॉजी और भी एडवांस हो चुकी है। कैनाल इरिगेशन, स्प्रिंकलर इरिगेशन और ड्रिप इरिगेशन जैसे तरीके पानी की बचत के साथ ज्यादा पैदावार हासिल करने में मदद कर रहे हैं। दोस्तों, आज की हिस्ट्रीज मिस्ट्रीज में फिलहाल इतना ही। अगली मुलाकात में फिर लेकर आएंगे तारीख के पन्नों से एक और हैरत अंगेज इन्वेंशन, डिस्कवरी या हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट की कहानी। तब तक के लिए सुनते रहिए रेडियो मानो 90.0 FM। चलो बात करके देखते हैं।
आप सुन रहे थे हिस्ट्रीज मिस्ट्रीज। सेल्स, मार्केटिंग और ब्रांड प्रमोशंस के लिए हमसे राब्ता करें radiomanu@manu.edu.in पर।
So join the wave, come along for the ride. Radio Manu 90.0 FM, we're by your side. चलो बात करके देखते हैं।
Your voice, your guide.
आप सुन रहे हैं अदबनामा, रेडियो मानू 90.0 FM का लिटरेचर एंड कल्चर शो।
Hi and welcome back to Radio Manu 90.0 FM. You are listening to our show Adabnama and I'm your host and RJ Himanjali. We are discussing cultural studies with Dr. K. Munir. Sir, what else can we ask you about cultural studies? You've answered so much already. But let's talk about, the recent AI that is, now infiltrating our lives now. So do you think with streaming platforms, digital literature, AI generated stories, how is the cultural environment changing?
Yeah, I think for students of literature, how we experience literature has now fundamentally, changed and undergone,
Yes.
right, transformations, maybe even beyond recognition, so in the what is even a text has now changed, right?
Yeah.
Especially with this so therefore the influence or it in certain ways, the in terms of accessibility or the ways in which we can access literature or do literature probably have increased exponentially because of these developments, right? But then the kind of discipline, as it were, we need to read literary text, the kind of form of attention that a text requires and so on. I think, one will have to see for themselves, how these kinds of platforms, although we cannot escape them, we cannot get rid of them, right? And we have to make use of them, but then we also have to find a way to sort of how to develop the kind of form of attention that a literary text demands, and how to sustain them in the face of these, technological, digital, advances. Yeah. So one thing that I would like to think about more is about how to, the kind of sensibility that a literature actually seeks to espouse, seeks to cultivate. If we understand literature also as an experience, right? Something that we do, right? And therefore, what kind of an experience is that, and how will that experience, what will become of that experience in the face of these advances or advancements, right? So that's something fascinating to think about. We cannot get rid of them, and we have to actually, use them. We have to even exploit them, right?
So do you think it's both, democratizing as well as
sure, and that's why,
as well as restricting? I mean, in a way,
it's not restricting in the sense what will become of our reading, our reading experience.
No, it creates new barriers, but it also, it's useful as well. But
yeah, it's
I
useful.
Think it has both aspects.
It has taken things to people, much more conveniently, and they can access everything, very quickly, swiftly. Or also all about the speed, right?
Right.
You can access everything at great speed. So when people, now we value speed, a great deal. Everything, blink it. You just to blink it. it's the blinkit that what attracts us, right? Everything
but don't you think it has made us lazy?
Yeah, yeah. Also, Instamart, right? It's everything is instant, and we all love that, right? But then when you read a text, I think it asks you to be to be slow, to go slow, to slow down, right? And therefore, the kind of sensibility that it cultivates in us probably militates against this craze, for speed and the desire to have everything fulfilled instantly, right?
Yeah.
So you see some tension there, but of course we are all inhabiting this world, and therefore we'll have to make use of these tools and technologies for sure, and we are using it. We are using them. We are making full use of these technologies, but then we'll also have to think about the kind of adverse effects that they will have on our experience of reading, our way of doing literature, our way of doing the humanities at large.
So, sir, sadly, we are coming to the end of our discussion. So, I just have one last question for you. Do you see any changes in students today with all the artificial intelligence AI tools that we have, and what advice would you like to give to students today going into the field of cultural studies?
It's not just about students; it's equally about teachers.
Yes.
Right? All of us are experiencing these new tools and technologies, and therefore when we think about these questions, one has to think about all the stakeholders, including teachers, and teachers are also depending on these tools for their classes, for their right. But then if doing humanities is a labor of love, okay, something that you do in a self-motivated manner, and primarily aimed at understanding, and understanding takes time, right? And understanding is perhaps it's the undertaking of a whole lifetime, right? And therefore, humanities always tries to inculcate in us this, this need for developing patience, within ourselves, so that we can try to understand things happening around us. Okay, even if those things or people around us, even if they are very different from us, people who are not like us, right? And we get to know these so many things, so many situations that we are not actually caught in, right? Through literary text and so on. And that actually requires also what Keats calls, negative capability,
Yes.
without which you won't be able to sort of experience or appreciate a literary text, right? That ability to remain in doubt, in uncertainty, without any, as Keats puts it, irritable reaching after fact or reason and so on. While using all these, making use of all these tools and technologies, it is also important for us to keep working at cultivating these kinds of sensibilities, right? So that we can have a fuller life. We can
Yes.
partake of this human flourishing as much as possible.
Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today. And it was a very, very enlightening session for all our listeners, I'm sure.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
And thank you so much to all our listeners for tuning in with us today. That's all for today's session, and I'm your host and RJ Himanjali signing off. But before I go, we'd love to hear from you. So if you have any queries for us, you can reach out to us at www.radiomanu.edu.in. We would be happy to hear from you, and we will be back very soon with more interesting discussions for you. Till then, stay tuned to Radio Manu 90.0 FM.
You were listening to Adabnama on Radio Manu 90.0 FM. चलो बात करके देखते हैं.
ये है रेडियो मानू 90.0 FM. चलो बात करके देखते हैं.